Hey everybody, good afternoon. Sasquatch here in an undisclosed location somewhere in the TicBite area. So I'm just going to tell y'all a little story about me as a child growing up in TicBite. I guess I was probably 14, maybe 15 years old when this story took place. It's got a little bit of everything, some excitement, some suspense, maybe a little scary, not much though. It'd be good for anybody. So we'll have to start back at the beginning. I graduated from the Herman Edwards School of Hunting Safety. He had me carry around a Stevens. Well, actually, he started out, he carried it. A Stevens over under single shot 410. And originally he carried it and he carried my shells. And as I moved up the ladder in training, I got to carry my own Stevens 410, but he still carried the shell. So eventually I worked up to where I could carry the shell in my shirt pocket, but I had to carry the 410 with the breech open with nothing in the breech. And you know, where nowadays you just get to go to a couple hour course and you get your hunter safety certificate. Mine took years, and I started training when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. Well, I took my first deer when I was 5, so around that time period. So anyway, this is me as a teenager, and it's November. It's a nice cool day. It's overcast, kind of like it is today. I got out the school bus, ran in the house, said hey to Mom. I had a few hours before dark. So I grabbed the old Stevens and a couple of shells. I didn't usually carry but 1 or 2. I mean, probably wasn't going to shoot at anything anyway, but you know, it was just a matter of being out in nature and enjoying myself. I ran out the back door and ran into the woods. There was a game trail that was very heavily used in those woods, and it led to a field. And I could sit on the side of this game trail, and I could see the field, and I found a nice spot to position. I didn't have any type of tree stand or anything at the time. I just sat on the ground. If you've ever been in the woods in November in eastern North Carolina, you know that the forest floor is completely covered with pine straw, leaves. There's a good layer of litter down on the ground. And when you walk on it, it makes a crunching sound. So I found a spot on this game trail that had a really thick layer of briars and some really thick underbrush behind it. And I thought that would be a good place to sit because anything that came through there was going to come down the trail and they were going to avoid the briars and stuff behind me. So I found a place and I sat down and I laid the Stevens 410 across my lap. Of course it was broke open and my shell was in my pocket. And I waited. It was getting later in the day. The sun was starting to go down. It was going to turn into twilight soon. I knew I didn't have but about probably an hour's worth of hunt that I could get in. So I sat there in the quiet. I listened to the birds chirp a little bit. And that's when I heard it off in the distance. Crunch, crunch. I thought, well, that doesn't sound like a bird. It doesn't really sound like a squirrel. I wonder what that is. I sat and I listened and I looked and I scanned all around me. Crunch, crunch. It got a little bit closer and a little bit louder and a little bit darker. Crunch, crunch. Whatever it was getting closer. It was not moving fast. And I peered down the game trail both directions, saw nothing. Crunch, crunch. Then I realized that the sound was coming from behind me. It was in this deep thicket of wood and briars. I thought, man, why is something coming from that way? Crunch, crunch. It got a little louder. My young mind started racing. What is this that's coming towards me? Is it a dog? Is it a house cat? Man, it might even be a skunk. We had skunks in the area, and my dog got sprayed by a skunk one time, and I didn't even want to be around her. She smelled so bad. But I wondered, could it be a skunk? Then I thought about the movies I'd been watching on TV about the monsters and the alligators, and you know, maybe it was an alligator in TicBite, North Carolina coming to get me, who knows? Crunch, crunch. It was louder, it was closer. I sat still. I looked. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to make any sudden movements because it might be something that I wanted to connect with. But I regretted having my shell in my pocket and my Stevens laying across my lap with the breech open. I thought maybe I would reach up real slow and get my shell out of my pocket. As I started to move my hand, crunch, crunch, I froze because it was extremely close to me this time. It was almost directly behind me. I could feel the eyes peering down on me. Whatever this was directly behind me and looking at me. I could feel its gaze on me. The sun had almost gone completely down. I was completely in twilight. And I was getting a little nervous. A little kid, you know. Crunch, crunch. It's even closer now. I'm listening for breathing. I don't hear any breathing, but I do know that that crunching sound is almost directly behind the tree that I'm sitting next to. Whatever this thing is probably within arm's reach of me. Crunch, crunch. I heard it move again. It sounded like it was coming off to my right. I slowly eased my hand up to my pocket. I pulled out that 410 shell and I eased it into the breech of my shotgun. Of course, me being right-handed, the 410 was pointing in this direction, and whatever was approaching me was on this side. So I would have to make a quick transition so that I could do whatever I was going to do. Crunch, crunch. It was right on top of me now. I expected to hear breathing. I was listening for maybe the growl of a big cat or something. And then I heard a blood-curdling scream. It sounded like a woman that was completely terrified had screamed off in the distance. I knew it was a bobcat, and I knew it was a little ways from me. It wasn't what was making the crunching sound. But the woods were full of bobcats. I knew they were there. I'll be honest, my heart beat so fast. I was thinking about the bobcat. I was thinking about we had seen some bears in the area. And I was thinking more about that skunk. I didn't really want to get sprayed. Crunch, crunch. It was literally directly off my right side, just out of my peripheral vision. I couldn't see it, but I could hear it. I was listening for breathing. I was trying to control my breathing. I was smelling for the faintest of smells, trying to figure out what could possibly be right next to me. The bobcat screamed out again. My heart rate went from 0 to 100. Again, the bobcat was a little ways in the distance, but it's still something to think about. Crunch, crunch. It was directly beside me. It was dark. I couldn't see anything. I could barely see the outlines of the trees and the underbrush, but I didn't see an animal next to me, but I could hear the crunching sound. I decided it was time to do something. I leapt to my feet, and in one motion I closed the breech on my Stevens, and I turned in the direction that the crunching sound was coming from. There was nothing, but I heard it. Crunch, crunch. I thought, well, it's nothing big. It's probably that skunk I've been worried about. So I took out my flashlight and I shined it on the forest floor. And there, crawling past me, I couldn't believe my eyes. I relaxed a little. I popped the breech of the Stevens back open. Wasn't going to need that. And I sat there awestruck. In my flashlight beam was the largest box turtle I had ever seen in my life. And he just walked on past. Crunch, 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 crunch. Completely oblivious to the fact that I was there. I had been terrified. I had been excited. I had been lots of things because I heard this approaching me. And the box turtle paid me no attention. I was sort of relieved it was just a box turtle. So I stood up, gathered up my things, started home. The bobcat screamed out again. And I'm going to tell you, that bobcat screaming is what made me not be late for dinner, because it put me in high gear. I was home in no time. So I'm glad I could share this with you. And I'll be doing more of these. I've got another story I'm going to tell real soon. It's about the tree in the road. It's a true story that happened to me when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And my father's in it, and several men from the neighborhood are in it. And it's a very interesting story. I'll be telling it very soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll be doing more of these. Y'all have a great day.